SUI Ecosystem Updates, best airdrops, DeFi yield, and under the radar upcoming opportunities. Let's get started. First of all, SUI Hack Updates. We have some very good news that the project is back online and all of the assets have been recovered. If you remember, in May it was hacked for over $200 million, signifying the risks of DeFi once again. However, with the combined effort from both the team as well as SUI Foundation, all of the liquidity has been returned and will be gradually restored to full capacity. You can read more about this in the blog updates if you've been affected or not. However, as of June 8th, the project is back online. One last thing to note is if your pool has been affected, you might not get your full liquidity back instantaneously. Right now, the recovery rate is between 85 to 99% as per blog post. However, there is a compensation in SUI tokens and they are not minting new supply, obviously. They're just allocating a different amount of tokens, mostly from teams, remaining unvested tokens to the actual compensation contract. And assuming that the hacker actually gets found and the assets get fully recovered, these new funds will then be used to buy back the token and hopefully have a much more positive price appreciation, because right now the token is down about 50% since the hack. So if you believe that the project is going to make a comeback on the charts and of course in SUI DeFi to reposition itself as one of the leaders, then maybe getting some tokens at these rates, not financial advice, could actually be a bargain. And finally, as a part of the relaunch campaign, they're doing a 100x challenge where if you apply and get selected, you can turn 30 SUI into 3,000 only using the SUI's CLMM or SUI's aggregator. The deadline for application is June 13th and the challenge is going to run from June 16th to July 16th. And the prizes are structured for the first prize is 3,000 SUI all the way to 11th and 15th for 200 SUI per winner. Now, a little bit of macro. Whether you believe that alt season has already started or not, we cannot ignore the fact that ETH BTC chart is seriously breaking out. However, it has been doing the same over May in 2023 as well as in May 2024. So unless this is another fake out and it just keeps underperforming against Bitcoin, we actually might be looking at the start of an alt season. And what does this mean for SUI and all other alts as well? Well, of course, other than the hack that really impacted the price negatively, it could be a very, very good idea to start positioning outside of Bitcoin already today. And if you're bullish long-term for SUI anyway, maybe this was the dip that you've been waiting for, considering that even though SETA's dropped by 50%, SUI and most of the SUI ecosystem tokens have dropped between 20 to 25% ever since May, but they're already recovering very, very nicely. Also, you can see in the liquidity side of things that even though the SUI ecosystem had over 2 billion in liquidity, the amount that it has dropped is exactly the same as price, between 20 to 25%, also recovering steadily and nicely. And regarding the ecosystem specific projects we're going to be talking about today, we're only going to be focused on the top 10, 11 SUI projects by total value locked. And we're going to be looking at specifically the ones that had liquidity inflows during these last 1 month of turbulence. Of course, if you want to know more about all other SUI projects that we've covered in the past, you can always find them on our official website here in the videos tab under search, and you will find all the relevant information here. Also, of course, always the real alpha is in the Discord, where you will find all the information in real time and have a chance to talk with people who are doing this as a full-time career. And we also have a SUI channel where we discuss all the latest information and updates. If this is something that interests you, make sure to check our subscriptions page on the website, where you will find monthly, yearly plans, as well as an error tracking application to keep you organized. And of course, the NFT collection generating you 10% in yield, as of course, great news recovered from SUI's protocol. All the liquidity, or most of it, will eventually be returned. We weren't heavily impacted, but there were still some kind of issues. Most of these are resolved. And we're looking back to get stable 10% per month as soon as possible in stablecoin terms, not just in yield terms. Now, regarding SUI, one of the first things that people ask whenever we talk about the ecosystem is, what is the Debank for XYZ? So what is a portfolio manager or portfolio tracker to keep track in the most efficient, sensible way of all your positions? And for SUI, for a long time, there really hasn't been a great answer until the Slush wallet came, and you can actually track all of your stuff and position and all of your liquidity in one place simply on this extension. However, if you prefer to maybe use a browser method, then you will be able to do so on this Potato Finance, which is a more browser friendly version. Simply search for your wallet and you can add it here, and you will find basically all the same things that you see in the Slush wallet, but maybe in a slightly more easy to read and understand way. Also, they also have this NFT sale happening very soon. If you think that this is something worthwhile and you have a whitelist for this one, it is starting in about 10 days, and you can check your whitelist allocation for this by simply being one of the top 5,000 SUI users or some other criteria. Now, regarding the 3 specific projects with the highest liquidity inflows in last month, we're going to be looking at, these are Momentum Finance, Bluefin, and Kai Finance. Starting with Momentum, these guys have secured a quite sizable chunk of change from OKX Ventures, currently at the valuation of 100 million, and they do seem to be one of the best airdrop and DeFi targets for SUI right now. So let's see what's it all about. They've had a points program for quite a while now, and their liquidity pools have always had pretty good APRs, and we can actually take a look at how the performance of the position has been over the last 30 days as well. Here you can sort it in the liquidity pools tab under the APRs, and you can see that some of the SUI memes are doing really well over the last couple of days, and here you can see almost 4-digit APRs for some pairs like Lofi, SUI, and similar. However, you always have to take this with a grain of salt because the amount of total value locked here is just over 100k, so these numbers could be a little bit skewed. And if you want to look at some stats and metrics from this test position, I've been in the Deep SUI and SUI USDC pairs, and you would think that Deep SUI would actually have much higher APRs, and that is true if the position would stay in price range for much longer. However, since even though these pairs have had a very good correlation over last month, still Deep tends to drop in and out of the ranges so much more than SUI USDC pairs. So always make sure to select the ranges based on your activity, how often you can actually rebalance or pay attention to these ranges, because the position, which is almost three times the size, has made half of the yield in the last 30 days. That should be quite an alarming sign.
Hey guys, we partner with What Exchange, one of the greatest decentralized exchange right now in the market. I love that you can see everything on your screen at once. You can connect to What Exchange from different mainnets, and you can see here the list of hundreds of tokens. They are continuously adding more tokens each week. And What Exchange has an active airdrop. They are going to distribute 30% of the total supply, guys, into this airdrop. So that is why I am super bullish trading here too. You can see here the point section that they added recently, so you can check everything about your progress on this airdrop. And in trading, you can see how many order tokens you earn, because they have this payback system from the fees that you pay. Part of that goes back to you on order tokens. So check the link on the description to join to What Exchange, trade on the platform, participate on the airdrop of the 30% of the supply, and also get some order tokens back. All the links are in the description.
The next project, which seems to be completely unaffected from this SUI hack, was actually Bluefin, and they've been one of the favorites on the channel for quite a while. They are an all-in-one DeFi solution for SUI. They have everything from swaps, perpetuals, even lending, pools, and many other things. And of course, they also have a rewards campaign. Even though they've had their initial airdrop, they do continue these campaigns, and you can find some pretty decent APRs on these pools as well. For example, the Walrus SUI pair is doing about 750 APR in the last 24 hours. The recent integration of perpetuals is actually probably what's fueling the updates and maybe liquidity inflows. However, this does seem to be working very well for the SUI ecosystem and Bluefin in general. And the third project, maybe slightly more on the riskier side of things, is Kai Finance. They also have pretty good inflows over the last 30 days, and they do seem to be relatively unaffected from the hack. However, it is slightly less known. It only has about 11k followers on X, even though it is followed by relatively reputable projects such as Turbos and others in the SUI ecosystem. There is a pretty good yield opportunity here for stablecoins. They have this LP Vault, which is generating triple digits on a auto rebalancing, so self-managed vault. And if this actually is something that you're interested in, if you want to hold stablecoins at this point, maybe this is one of the positions that you can actually take a look at. Now, regarding the token and airdrop potential, I've gone through their documentation, and in the briefest of explanations is that once they reach 100 million, they are considering launching a token, and currently they're at about 45 million in total value locked, so we are nowhere near to even considering it. So this would probably just be from a yield perspective if you're willing to take on the smart contract risk of a relatively unknown newer project. And last two SUI updates regarding upcoming projects. We have the native Bitcoin yield coming to SUI. This is going to be live in mainnet very soon. Currently, there have only testnet phases and everything is being finalized. Also, if you wish to participate in DeFi, you will be able to have all of this continuously earning you points through stuff such as Lombard Finance, SatLayer, and many other Bitcoin-related projects. And there is also another marketplace coming up. This is going to be Gunbitera. Currently, all you can do is just sign up for the whitelist. However, they do promise to be a next-gen NFT launchpad and marketplace powered by AI. A lot of buzzwords and one whitelist away from maybe something good, but maybe not. And that's a wrap for all the SUI updates for today. If you like the content, make sure to like and subscribe with bell notifications on. Any questions, comments, I'm waiting for you in the comment section below and in our Discord. As always, thanks for watching. Till next time, have an amazing day.